Hello, everyone. We are here with David, also known as Talkingcents, and he's also just another investor like ourselves and the people watching. And today we've actually got an interesting one for you. We're going to get it straight to the point. We're actually going to do three stock picks, so talk about three different companies. And those are companies that has had a lot of traction. So we hope you get a lot of value from this and learn from David's knowledge and research in these companies. So the three companies that we'll be covering, the first one is C Limited, the second one is PayPal, and the third one is Purple Group. So two offshore and one local. And you probably have heard of these different names. So C Limited operating in a very exciting industry, and they've got various other operations, but we'll get into that just now. And the second one is PayPal. We all have heard about PayPal or maybe even used their products. And thirdly, Purple Group, which is the parent of Easy Equity. So we'll get into that now. So let's kick off with C Limited. And as you start with C Limited, David, you can just give a brief background so that others know where you come from when you talk about C Limited as well, because I know you've actually used their products overseas, not in South Africa. So take us through C Limited. What's your opinion on C Limited? Are you buying, holding, and selling? And what's your research?
Hi, thanks, Hugo. Thanks for having me, and hi to all your listeners. So let's get straight into it. Like you said, C Limited, I am a holder long term. I like the company because I think Southeast Asia is going to see rapid growth over the next decade. And at first, when I was getting into shopping online and just setting up myself up in Asia, I was more in Lazada and I followed Alibaba. But then as time moved on, I started seeing Shopee. And that's when I Googled who owned Shopee, and C Limited came in my radar. And as a teacher here in Thailand, the students also played this popular game called Free Fire. And I was intrigued by that and Shopee. And then when I Googled about Shopee, I saw that C Limited owns Shopee. So that's what first tickled my interest in the stock. And I bought quite early on, but I was buying and selling. And at that time, I never had conviction in the stock until I started researching more and see how they were branching off into different segments like banking, offering in-house payments for their games. And I was just thinking the concept's brilliant. Singaporean-based company growing rapidly in Southeast Asia. I could see the effects live in my classroom of how the students were addicted to the games and how that could spiral into something else, especially if you could buy weapons or whatever they needed for the game. I don't play the game, I'm not too familiar with it, but a lot of teenage Asian boys love it. So that with Shopee, and as a customer on Shopee, I like the website. It's user friendly. I order almost everything I need from it because it's just convenient. And as you know, Thailand is ridiculously hot. So when I need something delivered, a new shelf, posters for my back wall, anything, I go onto Shopee. And they also have these Shopee wallets where you have these inbuilt pay systems. So I'm never paying the delivery driver when he gets here. Everything's done for me, comes straight to my address. I pick it up, and I started tracking that, and I could see how Lazada was losing market share to Shopee, which was fantastic because as any business, that's what you want to see. You want to see them dominating the market, growing customer base, and reinvesting their profits into more segments like the banking industry that they are now aggressively growing in, and new markets in Brazil. And their app is, I think it was the most downloaded app in Brazil this previous quarter. And their game, Free Fire, was the most downloaded app, or the second most downloaded app, also in the region, with over 1 billion downloads in total. So for me, I like it, and I think it has a bright future ahead.
It's actually funny. It's actually good to hear it from a customer itself, because many times when we invest in offshore companies, we don't really know all of that first-hand experience. And I mean, personally, I've read reviews and all of that, and it looked good. But hearing it first and it's great. Interesting fact on the FinMeUp app and on our community groups, we actually shared a C Limited stock pick last year, where we were quite confident in the company and just we shared some of our opinions and reasonings and research. And that was when C Limited was $140. And since then, I also just started buying, and it was not too big a position in my portfolio, but it grew so much. And I mean, if we just look at, let's quickly check the year-to-date performance. Even if we look at the year-to-date performance, well, I don't have it on me, but if you just go Google C Limited share price, you'll actually see how the company has just been growing at rapid rates. And it's what I've seen from the team is they are an extremely ambitious team. And if you look at the revenues quarter on quarter or year on year growth, it's all growing triple figures. And I mean they're operating in online or e-commerce, which is a growing industry, operating in gaming industry, which is a massive growing industry, and they're also operating in the fintech space. So the industries that they are operating in is actually amazing industries, and you can actually, it could look a bit expensive at the moment. So it's currently around $330. And the 1 year performance, it went from, like I said, they're from the 140s, 150s, more than doubled. So it could be overvalued, but I think that's where the question comes in as a long-term growth investor or growth stock pick is, are you willing, to sit through the ups and downs, and do believe in the company? But it's great hearing it firsthand. If there's not anything you want to add on that, we can actually move on to the second stock pick, and that is PayPal.
Yeah, just
Go for it.
just one thing before we move on. Like you said, it might be overvalued. It's difficult to predict what that value is, but I think if you like the stock, you dollar cost average in over time, and you take small positions, and any pullbacks could be awesome opportunities to buy a quality company.
Yeah, dollar cost average. Just
Yeah.
before we go on, just for all the viewers, this is not financial advice. We're just covering these different stock picks. So for any new investors or people who don't know this, when it comes to managing your own money, you should really, really always do due diligence and talk to clever people, and make the right decisions. So on to the second company, and that is PayPal, and the second stock pick. I know you've covered PayPal quite a bit, but I mean, we'd love to hear it firsthand. PayPal has been busy, with crypto and with these various maybe acquisitions. So yeah, take us through PayPal and your opinion.
I like PayPal a lot. It's my second highest conviction stock. So the reason I like it is because I earn a portion of my income in PayPal. So I like to invest in companies that I understand and that I use their products or services. So since I've been following PayPal, and since they've even moved away from eBay, their active users are growing. Currently, I think it's at about 392 active users, and that boost came now during this lockdown period during COVID, more people transitioning to online. And I don't think that trend, it might slow down in the short term, but over the next 5, 10 years, it's just exponentially going to grow. That fintech space, you can see almost every company or every financial company is pivoting into the fintech space or trying to get into cryptocurrencies because they can see the value there. And I was listening to PayPal's investor conference that they had, and this is actually an $110 trillion market, the total addressable market. So it's massive. So even if they aren't the primary incumbent anymore, which they currently are, and it's their game to lose. And they are quite conservative, highly cash generative. Net income is growing. I think previous quarter was just over 4 billion. They buying back shares, so they're adding value to shareholders. So they don't pay those dividends out, which I like because you're benefiting from capital appreciation, share buyback, quality company. It's growing. The customer base is growing. It's projected by, I think it is 2030, if I'm not mistaken, that they will have over 750 million active accounts, which is almost double from here. They've got the new concept of, I don't know if you've heard about it. Uh, what's it called? It's you buy now, pay later. And they
Just
Yeah.
on
So
that, I know Square recently that they're in the talks. I don't know if it has gone through yet, but with Afterpay, also this buy now, pay later theme. So there's this big hype around that. So just quickly comparing Square to PayPal. Are you choosing PayPal? Personally, I'm invested in Square. I was invested in PayPal, but I actually exited that and bought Square. So it actually paid off a little bit. But yeah, so what are your thoughts between Square and PayPal? They are a bit of competitors in a sense.
100%. So my thoughts are that I think there's room for both of them. So it's not one or the other. And I think the one has more of an aggressive strategy, which is Square. So they are growing quicker and they are attacking the market quicker. Whereas PayPal is, they are, like I said, they are the existing incumbent and they are more conservative. So I think they aren't trying to win massive market share as long as they can continuously grow. They've also got that network effect. And when I was listening to their market conference, what they said about the network effect makes sense. And they were also voted one of the most trusted brands. So when people check out on e-commerce stores, when they see the PayPal checkout sign, they are less reluctant to cancel that cart. I go many times on sites and people that I want to check out with, but I'm sometimes hesitant to put my card details in there, or I see other payment apps that you can use and I just abandon the cart. But because I know what PayPal is, I'm accustomed to it, I'm a user, I'm less reluctant to not buy that. So I go through, I purchase it. So I think what they mentioned there in the investor conference was a very important thing, that network effect that they already have and that trusted brand that they have. I think that in the long term is going to be in their favor over Square, but Square is still going to aggressively grow. So in the short term, I think Square, that you've like you've said, it's worked out well for you. They've grown a lot, but a lot of those expectations have already been baked in. So now they actually have to prove, can they be resilient in a market where so many players are coming in and reinvest their capital in quality business that's actually going to yield the results that everyone's paying for now. Whereas PayPal, it might be slightly undervalued compared to Square in the long term. And if there is a shift and PayPal exceeds certain metrics compared to Square, PayPal is going to have more upside, in my opinion, in the next 5 to 10 years.
Cool.
But
So you
definitely,
are.
definitely room for both.
Yeah, like you said, the fintech space is massive, so there's probably going to be more than one winner in the end.
Yeah.
So you prefer PayPal above Square. So yeah, then that brings us to the last one, Purple Group. But before we get into that, for everyone watching, please consider hitting the thumbs up. It really goes a long way, and subscribe for more videos like these. So let's get into Purple Group. They own Easy Equities. Easy Equities is this entire retail investing. So most South Africans that are investing and watching this are actually probably on Easy Equities. So there has been this massive, growth in Easy Equities itself. So before you get into your Purple Group opinion, just some of the factors that we also have to consider is, first of all, will the growth continue? So obviously last year, with everything moving online, and people realizing, I need to invest my money and look after my wealth, it had a lot of momentum. So the big question that I have in my mind, so I also have Purple Group shares. I've been very bullish since it was 33 cents a share early last year. But for me, the big question is, we've had a bull run now since 2009. So everybody's, getting this bit of a feeling that if I buy shares, it just goes up. If I buy ETF, it just goes up. Where if you really look at history, you also get bear markets. And my big question is, and we're going to have to see how it plays out over time. But if the bear market comes and people and new investors start realizing, look, I'm actually losing money, will the growth continue? But anyway, over to you. What's your opinion, and how do you answer that?
So I agree with you. A lot of people are in this mindset where shares only go up, and it's difficult to predict if Purple Group is overvalued, undervalued, where they will be. Personally, I think their runway ahead, they have a fantastic runway ahead. So in the short term, I wrote about this in my newsletter to my subscribers that between 2016 and 2020, so in that 3 to 4 year period, the share price actually was just flat. It transitioned sideways downwards. You could have been sitting with almost a 40-50% loss over that time. And 2020, it just exploded up here, up. And if you had sold and been impatient, you would have missed that 100%, almost 200% gain. So I think if you are thinking about buying the share at current levels, you have to be aware that it's gone through that massive bull market, and we could go through a consolidation phase or a bear market where it trends sideways downwards over the next 2-3 years, but it doesn't make it a bad company. Now, you also mentioned, where do I see, or can their growth continue in the long term? Now, it's difficult to predict what that threshold of users will be. We've already seen FNB coming out or trying to compete now with their low cost platform. So will that succeed and take people away? Will it prevent existing customers of FNB joining Purple Group? That's yet to be unseen. So I think the threshold could be maybe 3-4 million. Charles Savage did say in his the recent conference that they had that I think it took them almost 5 to 7 years to reach their first million users, and it's projected that it will take them 18 months to reach their next million users. So that's exponential growth. So I think once we reach that threshold, then we can look at, okay, this is their X amount of revenue, and then they have to use their existing customer base or clientele to grow more revenue or enter new markets so they can increase monthly fee prices. Now, the question is, it's free, so no monthly fee is paid now. So, what's that limit that they can charge that will deter people from not wanting to sign up or leaving? If they had to just increase, let's say, the monthly fee to 7 Rand, would that stop you from investing, or would that make me want to leave Easy Equities? Probably not. And if they've got 3 million users, that's 7 Rand from 3 million users. So I think it's difficult to predict, but I think the long-term game for Purple Group is actually very great. And they are also benefiting from this network effect of where there's this hungry culture in South Africa at the moment where people want education, they want to do better, they want better lifestyles, they want wealth. And I think Easy Equities is positioned in the center of that. And with podcasts like this and just the general public that promote it on their own, like no paid affiliation at all, that is just going to spiral into something I think we haven't even seen yet. So we might be paying for the current company, but as long as you are adding in the long term and have the conviction of where you see this fintech space moving, I think it's a winner in the long term.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely, they are first to market in South Africa to what they are doing, and they have ambitions to grow overseas and probably new products and different products like the easy properties. So, they definitely have some awesome ideas and an opportunity. No doubt about it. It's just, there are some questions to answer as well. I have Purple Group shares, so, I'm invested. But I mean, last year when it was around 35 to 50 cents in that range, I was buying really heavily. But at these levels, personally, I'm not buying. Actually, just sold a little bit at 1 Rand 50 just to invest in some other spaces and areas in my life. But I'm not selling everything. So currently, for me, it's a hold. If you had to give it a buy, hold, or sell for your personal portfolio, what would you say? Buy, hold, or sell?
I would say hold at the moment.
Mm.
But I have been buying in the low 40s, not crazy amounts, just adding to my portfolio, but I'm fortunate to have a lower purchase price,
Mm.
much
Yeah.
lower than current levels. So I would hold at the moment and just keep track of it.
Yeah, I mean, that helps when you're a long-term investor, is that average purchase price, especially when you've seen growth. And I mean, then you can just dollar cost average all the way through with
That's
your
it.
money that is allocated to investing. I think sometimes, the mistake of investing everything could also be risky. But yeah, thanks for that. So just to summarize it, on C Limited, you are bullish for the long term. On PayPal, you are bullish for the short and long term.
Very, very bullish.
You like PayPal. And
I like it.
finally, Purple Group you also like, but you're currently also just putting it on a hold, not really selling, not really buying that much more. Thank you so much for that. For everyone watching, I hope you found value in this. If so, have a great day. Thumbs up. And we hope you join the FinMeUp community and stay tuned for more. Check out David on Talking Sense for more awesome content. Hope you have a great day, everyone. Stay tuned for more. Cheers.